for his significant contribution in science and technology. He has got fellowship in prestigious international institutions and recipient of various awards, also acted as distinguished visiting scholar of Cambridge. Professor Sinha has been confirmed the prestigious Padma Bhushan Award by the Government of India in 2010 for his significant contribution in science and technology. Professor Sinha has become a member of State Planning Board, Government of West Bengal since September 2011. He has been the holder of distinguished Homi Bhabha Chair of DAE from 2009 to 2014. He has been the holder of distinguished honorary scientist position of Indian National Science Academy from 2015 to 2019. Professor Sinha has been the chairman of Board's Institute of Council since September 2013 to August 2018. Now, Professor Sinha is Indian National Science Academy senior scientist. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of National Council of Science Museums and NCSC. The floor is yours, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Should I start?
Yes, sir.
Is Dr. Ghosh there or not?
Yes, just there.
Ghosh is gone, right?
Yes, just
He's
there.
not coming back?
No, just he has gone, sir. Just now.
He has to take some medicines. So he has to take some medicine, so he has rushed back home.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Well, since you're out of time, I'll be somewhat briefer than what I thought.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a great honor and privilege to be part of a very well-known team of Dr. Ghosh and his colleagues and my friends, to say a few words about Dr. Ghosh and then go on to my main theme of science in the public domain. I hope you can hear me. You can hear me? Hello? Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
I still recall as a school kid how terribly excited I was going to Birla Industrial and Technological Museum in Kolkata. Dr. Ghosh pioneered the science museum movement almost single-handed. But the museum was not a museum of industrial technology. In fact, it was not a museum at all with museum pieces. It's a beautiful and unique museum capturing the intrinsic beauty of science, lively and exciting. 1905, Einstein discovered photoelectric equation along with special theory of relativity and Brownian motion. Discovery of photoelectric equation got him the Nobel Prize. On paper, photoelectric effect is quite easy to understand. Propagation of light by photons of so-called light particles with massless billiard balls. But it's very difficult to be understanding photoelectric effect in reality. Dr. Sarosh Ghosh did that back in 1950s in BITM, as he was explaining. Now we take it for granted, as was mentioned by Dr. Ghosh, photoelectric effect. And in a way, the opening of door or closing the door by photoelectric effect made a great impression to a young fellow like me, who's still in school. And that had lot to do by taking a decision to go to physics. Dr. B.C. Roy, the first Chief Minister of Bengal, of independent India, took a personal interest, and I was rather fond of the young man, Sarosh Ghosh. Then, of course, I went abroad for a long time, many places in the world, particularly Europe. I lost touch. When I came back, there was already two gigantic fundamental contributions of Dr. Ghosh. One was the National Council of Science Museum, the second, the Mobile Science Exhibition. The idea of Mobile Science Exhibition it's very interesting. It was taken to the children to understand science and comprehend science. Very soon, it was almost a contagious disease, this whole science movement. It's a massive movement. Just imagine 48 mobile science exhibitions, 18 science centers, 2 national level, 7 regional level, and district level. Even the die-hard politicians got the flavor of science museum as a popular movement, possibly to catch votes, and they hang on to sort of Ghosh with the brand of bandwagon. Nehru Science Center came out of only, which I recall was a garbage ground of Mumbai, and Kolkata Science City, built on the heart of garbage dump of Calcutta, for its unbearably scandalous stink, now gone. There is nothing of the kind, but it's a miracle. Apart from signal contribution to science popularization, Dr. Ghosh also contributed in no small way to a massive environmental movement. And mind you, to talk about climate change and environment were not that fashionable at that time. She's truly laudable. National Science Museum came forward. That was actually quite a remarkable breakthrough. And personally, I got very fascinated with Foucault's pendulum. And while building the auditorium in Saha Institute, I took help of my friends in National NCSM and built a Foucault's pendulum in the beginning of the auditorium. Foucault's pendulum is a marvelous object. It doesn't need any electricity to run particularly, and it's a wonderful institution for the children to find out. Of course, Dr. Ghosh's greatest star contribution is the mega traveling exhibition for India Heritage of Science was taken. And he actually managed to make the world aware in a small way, however, cutting through the colonial prism of looking at India as a backward nation of only superstitions, ignorance, and starving millions. A new light was thrown world over by Dr. Ghosh. The ancient India became very vivid, rich variety of a cultural and scientific heritage, the Upanishad, the Vedanta, along with great advances made in astronomy, trigonometry, and arithmetic. And I might like to add, this was long before Aristotle and Galileo. Great mathematicians, the Aryabhata, Brahmagupta, hibernating under the heat of long forgotten history, came alive suddenly. Dr. Ghosh revived them indirectly. Amusingly enough, one common streak between those mathematicians 2000 years ago and now is that they still agree to disagree. There is a SAARC country, I don't want to wish to go into details now, consisting of Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, and so on and so forth. And there has been a talk and discussion intensely about India taking a lead in science and popularization of science, science museum in particular, to bring forward the so-called backward attitude of some of these countries nearby. Now I come briefly to science in the public domain. What I have said so far is to emphasize what a total committed person can do to bring science into the public domain, which is huge intellectual energy and passion. But what about the inhabitants of the public domain? What about the burning enthusiasm of the young? Why has it disappeared in vicious cycle of struggle for survival? As one grows from boyhood to youth, what chemistry have you played and done to them to obliterate that useful enthusiasm. Ideology cannot be just an ingredient for political wisdom. There can be and must be an ideology of science, of rational thinking, a sense of scientific positivism. From the diabolical darkness of ignorance to lift us from the stupor of the opium of religion, from the catastrophe of arrogant dogma, brought out from the coffins of archaic stigma buried long ago. Instead, why can't we have a breathless, fresh realism of science, where there is no mystery, no hidden agenda, but surrounded by overwhelming beauty of science as our new religion? Why not? Einstein certainly heard that. Heisenberg was overwhelmed by it. Why can be more serenely beautiful? What can be more serenely beautiful than the hiss of expanding universe, carrying the primordial message of the Big Bang, of the very creation of the universe? Now the process of dehumanization has started in the world, and you are just idle visitor to that, idle worshipper, to scientific gadgets, artificial intelligence, computer control, quantum computing. India has been a slave of scientific gadgets. The irony is we go to space to watch the stars in the still darkness of an empty space. Yet we are humans very close to our country, behaving like savages of Middle Ages and murder even innocent children. My immeasurable anxiety is this enormous gap, a huge gap of intellectual wilderness, much worse and much more dangerous than the wide open outer space of dark and awful still beauty. A vigorous campaign for science, the rationalism of science can go a long way, and I appeal to Science Museum friends and Dr. Ghosh in particular. I would like to end soon just to say one thing, that even old Rabindranath Tagore, the great poet of India, in Bengal in particular, heard the calling of science at the ripe old age of 78, 4 years before his death. Having met Einstein, Heisenberg, and our own Bose, he wrote that magnificent book called Bishop Richard. And I'm sorry to say I failed to make it a textbook of our school. So, I think if you cherish Dr. Ghosh's life, great inspiration from it. And the last message I have to leave for Dr. Ghosh is quoting the American poet Dr. Robert Frost. Dr. Ghosh is young, about 85 in mind and probably body, still young. The quotation goes as follows: "The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
So thank you, Sinha sir. Thank you so much for your brief and nice talk. And unfortunately, Dr. Ghosh has gone because of some medical problem. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir, for taking your time from your busy schedule and being with us here today. Thank you so much. You can.
We had some time. Yeah.